Good morning, All Souls. Please rise as we bring back a time-honored tradition of singing our processional from the center aisle. Your words are printed in your order of service, and I think they'll also appear on the screen. We invite you to join in singing.
Give us power. Amen. Thank you, All Souls Choir. I'm Reverend Bill Sinkford, your minister in residence this year. My pronouns are he and him. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone here in the sanctuary. Welcome all those joining us online. Welcome to this diverse, spirit-growing, justice-seeking, beloved community of all souls, of all souls. Come now and let us worship. We begin with words of W.E.B. Du Bois. The prayer of our souls is a petition for persistence, not for one good deed or single word, but word on word and deed on deed, until day calling unto day makes for a life worth living. May that be so. Amen. We light our chalice to kindle the warmth of community among us. We light our chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
Hello, and welcome to All Souls Church. My name is Justice Tuya, and I will be your worship associate today. Welcome to a community where our search for spirituality, our passion for social justice and communal action, and a need to find respite in times with others of similar heart and mind meet and mingle. Where reverence for the earth and a belief in the dignity of every person informs our ethics, where the arts are an expression of our joy, prayer and meditation, signs of our faith, and acts of justice, symbols of our hope. Welcome to a place where all people are welcome at the table of love and fellowship. We again gather here in the sanctuary and from various locations around the greater Washington, D.C. area, and indeed from various locations around the world. Regardless of whether you're a lifelong member or happen to stumble across us this morning for the very first time, you are welcome here. If you're interested in examining today's order of service, you're welcome to either click on the link in the chat or scan the QR code that's located in the pew in front of you. To stay up to date on all upcoming offerings of the church community, and there are many, please read the weekly church bulletin. It's distributed every Friday. If you're not currently subscribed to receive the weekly bulletin, I'd encourage you to sign up. You can sign up via the church website, or you can click on the link in the chat. Life has changed over the last 2 years. In our community, the way in which we worship and the way in which we engage with one another has changed as well. For example, our traditional greeting has become a beholding, both virtually and here in person. At this time, if you're joining us online, I'd encourage you to turn on your video and scroll through the gallery view. Although you'll remain on mute, please exchange smiles, waves, and chats as you draw strength and joy from the gallery of faces, both new and old. If you're in the sanctuary, I'd encourage you to get up and move around to greet one another in a manner that is comfortable to both you and the person that you're greeting. Let us greet one another now.
laughing about my line now.
Let's continue our conversations and greetings after the service. Again, welcome to All Souls Church.
Don't be discouraged. Don't give up now. Don't be discouraged. Don't give up now. Someday somebody's gonna make you wanna turn around and say goodbye. Tell me, baby, how you gonna let them hold you down and make you cry? Don't you know, things will change, things will go your way if you hold on for one more day. 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 Someday somebody's gonna make you wanna turn around and say goodbye. Tell them, baby, how you gonna let them hold you down and make you cry? Don't you know, things will change, things will go your way if you hold on for one more day. 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 For one more day. Don't be discouraged. Don't give up now.
Hello, All Souls. Thank you. I'm Reverend Louise Green, pronouns she, her, and it is good to be together. In these times, we need some sustenance along the way as we struggle to persist and resist and recreate. You can find out more about what we're doing in that e-weekly or go on our website, homepage calendar, click on any of these events I'm about to name for more details. Here's a big 3 coming up. Saturday, June 4th is our 200th anniversary party. Woohoo! You can enjoy a festive evening of live jazz with our own musicians who will be on the terrace. You can share food and drink and get happy dancing in Pierce Hall. You can register your kids in advance for the pizza and Encanto movie party that is down in the gym. Buy your tickets on the website calendar on June 4th, the square, June 4th, or via the e-weekly. Volunteers are also needed, so you can contact member Julia Washburn or fill out the form that's with the ticket link. Sunday, June 5th, is the annual meeting of All Souls Congregation. It is convened by your elected Board of Trustees right after the worship service. This public meeting is open to anyone who comes that morning or in our church. Voting members elect leadership. They affirm a budget, consider bylaws. You are the people power. So to vote, you must be a member and have some donation of record of any amount in the last 15 months. If you cannot remember what you did, ask Gary Penn where you stand there. Sunday, June 12th, will be a day of fond goodbyes. This is the last day for our interim senior minister, Reverend Kathleen Rollens, and also our APAL Davies intern, Ebony C. Peace. At noon, after the service, we are invited to an all-ages picnic at Rock Creek Picnic Grove 6, which is on Beach Drive up near Carter Barron. You go down into the park there. Parking lot is available. There'll be multi-gen activities, so all ages are welcome. We would appreciate RSVPs so we can make a plan for food and drink. And here's the reality. There are no fairy picnic elves organizing this event. So we ask that you contact Communications Director Rose Eaton to be of service for the day. You can do something very small or very large, depending on your picnic calling. Each week, we name people and situations that are on our mind and heart. If you want to put something into this list or be in touch with one of the ministers, you can email Congcare, C-O-N-G-C-A-R-E, at All Souls. That email is on the back of the paper bulletins or the bottom of the online bulletins. And today, we are going to begin with celebrations, because we need a few. A warm welcome to the coming of age class. I'm going to make a wild guess, which is sitting up here. Visiting from the UU congregation of York, Pennsylvania today. Yeah, all right. We were in front greeting. There are a lot of visitors today, a lot of first-time folks. So could you just raise your hand if you're here visiting or for the first time? We're so glad that you're here. A couple of congratulations. First, to All Souls member Dr. Jane Rigby, who is an astrophysicist at NASA's Goddard Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. Dr. Jane was recently recognized by Out to Innovate as the 2022 LGBTQ Scientist of the Year. Yes. More congratulations to David Thurston, who just graduated from Catholic University with a master's in social work. The proud parent, yes? The proud parents are Delabian Rice Thurston, who is levitating over here, and Robert Thurston. Delabian wrote that David has been in the process of living with and recovering from bipolar disorder since 2004. And they are overjoyed that the DC Family Support Group of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, sustained them and also helped David choose social work in order to help others with mental illness find support. On Wednesday, Bob Wittig's mother had a stroke in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he is with her now. They are making plans for her care. Bob is going to stay a few weeks. We are sending blessings to Bob, his mom, and his daughter, Kayla Giordano Wittig. The celebration of life for Bob Murray was yesterday here, and we had a grand day. Many thanks to our caring staff, our wonderful ushers, the skillful AV team who made it happen, and special appreciation to the Jubilee Singers and Leonard Starks who provided beautiful music. Our hearts are with Bob's wife, Peachy, their children, Diane, Suzanne, and Bob the third, and all gathered family for them this weekend. There are many hard things to lift up this morning. First, the terrible toll of white supremacy in the act of gun violence and domestic terrorism in Buffalo. We mourn 10 lives lost, 3 wounded, and that area and our nation continually traumatized by the great cost of systemic racism. We grieve the almost 1 million now lost to COVID in our country and the ongoing suffering and illness. And we witness both the sad need for 450 women's marches yesterday across the nation and the beauty and the power of that organized solidarity. And now your names and situations into the chat if you're on Zoom or aloud into the sanctuary now. Just a moment of shared prayer. Our meditation today is on purpose and persistence. It was in our monthly Vespers service on Wednesday. Reverend Kathleen used it in a reflection. It struck me, so I'd like to repeat it. It is entitled The Way It Is by poet William Stafford. So I invite you to take a good seat and a deep breath and hear these words. There is a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People are wondering about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread. But it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen. People get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you can do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. Let us hold on together as All Souls' beloved community through all the joys and challenges of these days. And in our individual and collective threads, may there be a path forward. Blessed be. Amen.
Our reading this morning is by Ross Gay, a young black poet. I have been wondering how we make the world by our witnessing of it. Or maybe I have come to understand, to believe, that how we witness is what makes our world. This is why attending to what we love, what we are astonished by, what flummoxes us with beauty, is such crucial work, such rigorous work. Likewise, studying how we care and are cared for, how we tend and are tended, how we give and are given, is such necessary work. It makes the world. Witnessing how we are loved and how we love, that makes the world. Witness and study, I should say. Witness as study, I think I mean. Truth is, we are mostly too acquainted with the opposite, with the wreckage. It commands our attention, and for good reason. We have to survive it. But even if we have to understand the wreckage to survive it, the wreckage need not be the primary object of our study. The survival need be. The reaching and the holding need be. The here, have this need be. The come in, you can stay here need be. The let's share it all need be. The love need be. The care need be. That which we are made by and held by need be. Who's taken us in need be. Who's saved the seed need be. How we are loved need be. How we need be too. Our radiant need, our luminous need, our need immense and immeasurable, our need absolute need be. And that study, that practice, that witness is called gratitude. Gratitude need be. And that is what I want to study. And this is with whom? Don't give up now. Things will go your way if you hold on one more day. The women's ensemble was preaching with that song. Amen. So we've got to hold on because there is work ahead of us. You did get that memo, didn't you, in the last couple of days? In the last few years? There's hard work ahead of us. The prayer of our souls is a petition for persistence. Amen to that, right? A petition for persistence. That's the prayer that W.E.B. Du Bois thought we needed. When the task is fundamental change, when the task is liberation, persistence is necessary, right? Because we know the pattern. 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or sometimes more than 1 step back. Whether we're talking about our individual lives or our world, change, real, lasting change is a challenge. And our victories can turn out to be so fragile and some so easily roll back. Du Bois can be credited with that phrase, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or at least for its genesis. He often described the movement toward freedom as 2 steps forward and 1.5 steps back. Apologies for the ableist language. Du Bois was born in Massachusetts just after the Civil War, and he lived until 1963, well into my lifetime. But by the time he came of age, the promise of Reconstruction had proven hollow, and Jim Crow was on the rise. Despite all of his efforts, he never saw the dismantling of legal apartheid in this country, even though he worked for it all his life. Disheartened, he finally left the United States to live in Ghana. He died there the day before Dr. King preached his I Have a Dream speech on the Mall here in Washington. But Du Bois, too, had a dream for a beloved community, but he learned by the living of his life just how hard it was to achieve. Our prayer needs to be a petition for persistence, he said. Change seems to come in such small and hard-won increments, doesn't it? Just a little bit here and a little bit there. But is that how you see change taking place? Kind of inch by contested inch? Is that how change has come for you in your life, in your personal life? Is that how you see change happening in the world? Is the prayer we need simply a prayer for endurance? The leaked news that the Supreme Court will almost certainly overturn Roe versus Wade this year, that news delighted fundamentalist Christians and the political right, and shocked progressives, including most of us here, I'll bet. I was shocked, but I was not surprised. This has been building for decades. And if you were surprised, really surprised, I'm afraid to tell you that you simply have not been paying attention. And I am so glad, and I hope that you are so glad, that this is a church that was ready to respond. Within a day, Reverend Rob had written to describe efforts that were long underway and opportunities to organize in response. Unitarian Universalism advocated for legal abortion care long before the Roe decision. Did you know that landmark case was originated and prosecuted out of First Unitarian in Dallas? The woman called Jane Roe in that suit was a member of our church. We've been clear for a long time about these issues. We have been pro-choice and pro-family for a long time. We believe that the decision to parent children should be made out of love and out of commitment, and that those children should be raised in families and communities of caring, served by public policies that support all of those families and support human thriving as well. That is what we mean when we talk about reproductive justice. And those are our family values. In this church, we are pro-family in the very best sense of that term. Reverend Rob and the church and this faith are already on the case. And then last Sunday, Davies intern Ebony Pease preached a prophetic word to prepare us to respond. I am so glad to serve a church that is committed to resist. We are not going back. We are not going back on reproductive justice. We are not going back on voting rights. We are not going back. The question is, how will we move forward? And that's what I want to speak with you about today. First, we need to be honest. Most of us, thought we were moving toward the beloved community. The progress was agonizingly slow, but we were having enough successes to keep us going. Brown versus Board, the Voting Rights Act, Roe v. Wade, the Americans with Disabilities Act, marriage equality, even some recent examples of reparations. We had organized to use the system, that small d democratic system, with its checks and balances. And the courts were important too. We played by the rules and used the rules to change policies and laws. And we relied on the integrity of the system. When the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the right to abortion care, we thought, and it was a reasonable thought, that that right was secure almost 50 years ago. We thought that the right to vote was secure, well, mostly, that we wouldn't have to fight that basic battle again. But now it is clear that the resistance to beloved community cares not one bit about the rules and is willing to sacrifice our system to remain in power. Now, those are political observations, I know. But what I want to speak to you about are the spiritual challenges that we need to face. The spiritual challenges that result for us from those political truths. Our successes made hope reasonable. Our successes, in fact, sustained us. But today, the honest truth is that we will need to find a different and a deeper source of hope. Oh, we will organize and we will protest. Trust me, we will. We applauded the march yesterday. Were any of you down there? Look at the hands. Let's applaud them. But the rules of the game have changed, and we will likely be playing defense for some time. I'm just telling you the truth. And so I am coming to believe that we're going to need more than grim determination, need more than just persistence, more than just doing what we've done. We are going to need real clarity, crystal clarity about who we are, this diverse, spirit-growing, justice-seeking, beloved community of all souls. Hear those words, this diverse, spirit-growing, justice-seeking, beloved community. We are going to need to be out and proud about who we are and willing to speak about the world that we want to live in. We'll organize and protest about the specifics, to be sure, but we need to be inspired by and speak out of a broader vision that can point toward liberation for us all. What we need is for the vision of beloved community to go viral. Amen to that. Malcolm Gladwell is a popularizer of scientific information. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with his work, Outliers, Blink, The Tipping Point. And like most popularizers, he gets criticized for a shallow understanding of the science. But as we look for metaphors to help explain our lives, well, there's a reason that his books sell in the millions. And I opened The Tipping Point again during the pandemic, because that book is built around the way epidemics work. And I'm not going to go deep into the math, you can relax. But epidemics, whether we're talking about COVID or the adoption of cell phones in the 1990s or social media in the 2000s, epidemic change grows not in a slow, predictable, linear fashion. It grows exponentially. Exponentially. We know this, many of us, but our brains have a hard time remembering or believing that change can so quickly go viral. Here's the example that Gladwell uses. I give you a large piece of paper, and I ask you to fold it over once, and then take that folded paper and fold it over again, and again, and again, until you've refolded that original paper 50 times, 50 times. How tall do you think the final stack of folded paper is going to be? Well, most people will fold that sheet of paper a couple of times in their mind's eye and kind of guess that the pile would be about as thick as a phone book. Do you all remember phone books? Or if they're really courageous, they'll say that it would be as tall as a refrigerator. But the real answer is that the height of that stack would approximate the distance to the sun. Wow. Geometric progression, explosion, really. And it's hard for us to imagine because we've learned to expect results that are in proportion to the size of the cause. Gladwell argues that we need to prepare ourselves for the possibility that sometimes big, huge changes follow from small events, and that sometimes these changes can happen very quickly. It's the speed of the change that makes for a tipping point. That tipping point term, you should know, originated in the flight of white families to the suburbs. That's where it came from. When a certain percentage of black families managed to move into a neighborhood, 10% or a bit more, and that could take years. But when that tipping point was reached, the vast majority of the remaining white families would leave in an instant. The tipping point is that moment of critical mass, that point of no return. From Gladwell, one more time. We are all, at heart, gradualists. Our expectations set by the steady passage of time. But the world of the tipping point is a place where radical change is more than a possibility. It is, contrary to all of our expectations, a certainty. Radical change is a certainty. Do you begin to see why I'm holding this up right now? Radical change is a certainty. Now that's an idea that it seems to me is worth pursuing. What I'm trying to get to is the question of where we set our sights and how we show up to make that radical change possible. Is it the grim determination of one specific battle after another, knowing that we're likely to lose at least for a while? We are going to show up for those battles. Of course we are. But what would happen if we claimed, really claimed, the vision that we name? What if we took seriously our spoken commitment to beloved community? What if we allowed ourselves to be moved and motivated and sustained by the creation of a world for all souls? Now, our theology tells us that this is a world of process. You've heard of process theology. It's a world of interaction and interdependence in which our actions make a difference. We have agency. That's the highfalutin theological term. Our theology, however, does not promise that the outcome, that the result is guaranteed. The coming of the kingdom is not necessarily the final chapter of our drama. The beloved community is not a promised outcome, not necessarily. The world of process turns out to be amoral. It is a question of the energy that enters and impacts the system, whether that is in our personal lives or in the world around us. And that comports at least with my understanding of how the world works. I see no evidence that we're on a guaranteed path toward the kingdom. There is no guaranteed outcome in our future. So the universe may well be amoral, but we are not amoral. And what we do impacts the system. And we, as religious people, we cannot afford to be amoral. But we need a theology with a moral vision, a theology of liberation, a theology with a purpose,
for us all to get free. A theology that is not just against the forces of reactivity, not just against the forces that do want to go back. Just being in opposition will invite us to adopt their tactics, be willing to lie and to demonize others as they do, and that would cost us our soul. That is why we need to get clear that our vision is for a beloved community of all souls in which all of us can thrive and through which the planet can thrive as well. We need clarity on where we want to go and what is needful for us to get there. And this is where our theology works for us. Remember, in a world of process, if we lean into love, love will lean back and begin to multiply. When we sing, "Give us power, O Lord," that is our power. The love needs to be central. The care needs to be at the heart of what we do. It is about lifting each other up. That which we are made by and held by, the spirit of life, however we name it, is what is most needed in our hearts. Now, the system needs changing. We all know that. We cannot allow a shrinking minority to reverse the modest progress we've made so far. Reproductive justice needs to be enshrined in law. The filibuster has to go as I see it. And the Voting Rights Act, it needs to be restored. We will need to change parts of the system. I don't think there's any way around that. But the heart of what we need is clarity of spirit. That the world we want to live in is a world in which love can win. And the way we choose to live needs to move us toward an open-hearted embrace of what need be for love to win. The love need be, the care need be, how we are loved need be. We need to be clear, and that clarity can grow out of our own need. Our own need be too, but our vision is larger than our individual needs. It is a collective vision, a vision for beloved community. It is there that we will find our individual hopes fulfilled, I am convinced. It will be in a community worthy of being called beloved. And that is what we need to study. That is what we need to center. And we are some of the people we can do this with. And this is the place where it can begin. Amen.
As some of you may know, I first came to All Souls approximately 14 years ago. As an out gay man with Mormon and Catholic roots, I left organized religion in 2004, and I made it my personal mission to avoid it in the future at all costs. After stumbling across Unitarian Universalism, and that's a very long story, but I think the stars were aligned, my interest was piqued just enough to sit there in the back row where Emily's standing. In essence, I was hiding. Growing up Mormon, you know when you need to kind of hide in the back. I spoke to no one. I wanted to draw no attention. And despite my attempts to remain detached, I ended up being moved to the point of crying through Spirit of Life. I knew there was something special here. I returned the following Sunday, and the Sunday after that, and weeks turned into months, and months turned into years, and here I am, a middle-aged gay man, no longer a young gay man. But with the exception of being out of town, I'm always here at All Souls. Over the course of the last 14 years, I have come to view this community as my spiritual home. It's a place where there are many helping hands, loving hearts, and open minds. It's a place where diversity is celebrated, where I find safe harbor, and where my hope for the future resides. It's a place where we engage with both timeless questions and pressing issues with truth, compassion, and love, and it's a place built by the generations which have come before. Each Sunday before the offering plates pass, I make it a meditative practice, an attempt to name the many gifts that this congregation, this community has bestowed upon me. It's for these countless reasons that I give generously to our community to continue our very important work. As the virtual and physical plates pass this morning, I ask you to consider the ways in which you can sustain this community through your generous financial gifts. All Souls needs your promise of time, talent, and treasure to support the staff, programs, and the search for the next called minister or ministry team. Pledges can be made online or in person, and no gift is too big or too small. If you're on Zoom, the link in the chat will direct you to the All Souls online giving page. You may also text ASCU to 73256 to make your offering. Thank you for your generosity, and today's offering will be received.
invite you now to rise and join in singing our closing hymn. It's a new one. The lyrics are printed in your order of service and will also be on the screens behind us. We hope that you'll join in by verse 3.
And we will go on, and we will need some persistence, of course, but our power and our hope flow from our courage to claim our vision for a world in which we can all finally get free. This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.
Keep